Welcome back to another Kilted Text and little helpful tech tip thing here. And we're going to show you how to flash this Omnibus F4 OSD board. So first thing that I normally do, I usually try to go through the CLI to get the bootloader. Now you have the ability in this one to try to get to this little button up front, and it is an absolute bear and a half to try to get to her. But anyway, she's in there, but she is tough to get to actually hit and hold down. But you can hold it down as you plug it in, and it will allow you to go ahead and and basically get her into DFU mode. Now, I like to go through the CLI, but the way we do that is we'll go ahead, plug her in. Now that she's plugged in, I'm going to go ahead and go to connect. And of course, this thing is nice and loud, but we're going to go ahead and go over to the CLI, and we're going to try to type in BL. Now, as you notice here, it says COM1. That does not say bootloader or DFU. So, what that means is we got a slight problem. There's a driver issue with it. So what we do is we go in here and we click on a deal called ImpulseRC Driver Fixer. And I'll put a link in the description to go ahead and get you to it. But there's an ImpulseRC driver. And it's a driver fixer. So what is we bring it up and we unplug, and then we plug it back in, and it searches for the flight controller, and bingo, it just puts it into DFU mode. And it's from ImpulseRC, and it does the driver fixer for you. But it's ImpulseRC Driver Fixer. So you went ahead and it worked, and it fixed it. So we went ahead and got her into DFU mode, and then I'm looking for the Omnibus F4 SD, and I'm doing a legacy just because I figure this is not a branded board. This is not a Airbot and all that other good stuff. So this is a legacy board, which means it's a clone. It's a cheap Chinese board. It's just an old junker. So what we can do is we select that, and I'm going to go ahead and stick with 4.05, and I'm going to load the firmware online. And then we just go ahead and click on flash the firmware. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hold here for just a sec because I want to make sure that I've got all my settings out of here, because I don't want to have to go back and reinvent the wheel. So if you have settings that are already on there, it's probably a good thing to go ahead and type in dump here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy to the clipboard. And I'm going to get all this stuff out here. And then I'm going to type BL for bootloader. And again, you see we went to COM1. So, got to break out my driver fixer one more time. And I got to plug it in. And the ImpulseRC tool is going to go ahead and find and set it to DFU. And notice it just went to DFU. So now we can go ahead and go into the firm flasher, Omnibus F4. I'm going to keep it at 4.05 because I've got some community presets and everything else. I'm going to load the firmware online. Come down here, I'm going to say flash the firmware. And it is flashing. And she does take her time. She is a bit of a patient young lady. So we go ahead and we let her take her time and get all dressed up for the dance. And then once she's done, you know, she'll be good, because if you rush this part, something might get screwed up, and then, you know, your quad ends up like a like a Waffle House meal, all scattered and chunked. So she has kept her settings because I did keep the same firmware. So I'm going to go ahead and connect in, and I'm going to go ahead and just take a look. My configuration, okay, still D-shot. So because I didn't change the firmware, it kept all my settings, so I didn't really have to go in and do all that. But just because I'm paranoid, and again, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy all this stuff out. I'm going to Control A. I'm going to get all my settings and I'm going to put them back in there. So that's going to go ahead and run through, do all my settings back on there. And she will take her time. But again, you just got to be patient. And then I go ahead and hit save. And now she is good. And if you'll notice, mine's beeping right now. And the reason why is because I got this receiver, or I got this mode set up for beep the satellite, the number of satellites. So, and it defaults, of course, to the middle here. So it's beeping the number of satellites is actually picking up right now. And so if we go into the setup, we see, oh, it's picking up 8 satellites. So we are good to go. And other than that, that'll do it. So use this tutorial as you might and have fun. Keep her in the air.